they identified one particular cause.
We've noted a lot of immunization hesitancy as far as the population is concerned. But I think after thorough analysis, we discovered that it's because clear information, the right information did not get to the target. That's why a lot of people were hesitating to go towards the vaccine. But today, I think a lot of communication has been carried out. And you see ongoing. You can notice it even at the level of your media, at the level of meetings that we organize. We realize that more and more people come towards the vaccine.
As of now, there are 4 types of COVID-19 vaccines being used in Cameroon, with Sinopharm being the widely used vaccine in the country. Highlighting the importance of vaccination, they pointed out that when one is vaccinated, he or she becomes less susceptible to contaminate others. The vaccines are only administered to all aged 18 and above, and especially for those 50 years and above. In relation to the respect of barrier measures, health officials admit the reluctance observed within the population, but insisted that the respect of these measures is the only means through which the disease can be controlled from spreading.
At this level, we cannot do away with the mask. We should still continue to respect the barrier measures. Even when you get vaccinated, you cannot do away with the mask. You can only do away with the mask by the time we are sure that the majority of the population, and that's what we call the herd immunity. When we discover that people who were supposed to get the vaccine, that will have a coverage that is above 50. At that time, we can say that, okay, the population is immunized.
The fight against the pandemic in Cameroon, and in littoral region in particular, is the concern of everyone. The evaluation was chaired by Governor Dieudonné Ivahad-Dibua, who invited his population to have themselves vaccinated to kick out COVID-19.
This second tour of vaccination, we are appealing all of those who have got this vaccination at the first phase to come and do it, and even asking the other one that were hesitating to see that maybe they were hesitating because they wanted to see all those who were vaccinated, how they can die quickly. But there is no death linking with the vaccination campaign. Reason
why a mass vaccination campaign is built from the 7th to the 11th of July 2021 in Cameroon.
A workshop aimed at boosting the achievement of sustainable development for councils within Cameroon has taken place in the city of Douala today. Our reporter Ekokove Remy Carol, who attended the workshop organized by the Douala City Council and the International Association of Francophone Mayors, says in the following report that it is quite an essential tool for local development. Let's get her report.
The International Association of Francophone Mayors, alongside the Douala City Council, organized a national workshop for the popularization of tools for conducting and managing sustainable territorial projects this July 1, 2020 in Douala. This workshop was aimed at applying the ISO 37101 standard in order to attain sustainable development in the different towns of the country. This workshop was presided over by the mayor of the Douala City Council, Roger Mbassadine.
The aim of this workshop was, first of all, to get a better understanding of a sustainable development management tool. This is to ensure that local elected officials, mayor, adopt an approach that aims at improving the projects and local public policies. For that, there is a standard called the ISO 37101 standard, which can help them structure their approach. It is good to note that mayors are very impressive.
During this meeting, Arnaud Dana from Yaoundé and the manager of studies at the Douala City Council presented an exposé on the experiences of their towns. French officials in the International Association of Francophone Mayors presented the ISO standards through a video conference and tabled its advantages to the cities, merits amongst which include the fact that councils will be able to ameliorate the activities which will better the lives of the population. The ISO standard is a tool which will permit a city to better assert itself internationally and vis-à-vis international investors.
In that same light, Betua city councillors have recently evaluated the execution rate of the 2021 budget for the first half of 2021. The outcome of this meeting reveals that the collection of revenue or revenue collection stands just as low as 16%, which is, of course, way beneath the expectations. Nde Vanessa Shuyong has details on this.
Workers of the Betua City Council have come together in a dual ceremony to evaluate the mid-term revenue collection of the 2021 budget and honoraries to outstanding workers of the council. The budget voted in 2020 amounts to 4,027,632,000 francs CFA. What has been collected so far stands at 16%, a rate which councillors say is very insufficient, pointing an accusing finger on corrupt agents who collect these funds. For this reason, proposals have been made to the municipal executives on how to improve on the income. According to one of the mayor, internal controls should be reinforced. The evaluation of this first semester council budget was necessary, says Theophile Mbarga, president of Finance Committee. He says if revenues are not collected, the council would not be able to finance socio-economic projects, thereby delaying the development of the area, as such lowering the living standards of the population. Revenue collectors are therefore called upon to be vigorous and honest in collecting such funds for the development of Betua.
We now open the African page to round up this news with Burkina Faso, where at least 2 ministers have been sacked from their positions following deadly protest attacks or terrorist attacks in the West African country. President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore dismissed the Ministers of Defense and the Minister of Security in response to growing tension from the opposition as well. Former Defense Minister Sherif C has been replaced with Colonel Major Barthélemy Sempor, while the former Minister of Security, Ousseini Compaoré, has been replaced with Maxime Kone. President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore tweeted a statement saying his formation of a new government is part of his desire to breathe a new life into their commitment in the face of the nation's major challenges. The decision comes after the government faced serious criticism following recent terrorist attacks in the West African country. On to other African news stories, we look at the situation in Sudan, where protesters have taken to the street in the capital Khartoum, demanding the resignation of the interim government in the country. Also in Algeria, the president Abdelmadjid Tebboune has appointed a new prime minister for the country with the aim of curbing the deep socio-economic crisis within the country. Rogeatu Buba takes a look at these stories.
Hundreds of protesters have taken to the streets in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, demanding the transitional government to resign over controversial economic reforms. These demonstrations came less than 24 hours after the International Monetary Fund announced the release of massive economic aid for Sudan with a debt relief of $50 billion. In the capital, Khartoum, dozens of demonstrators burned tires in front of the presidential palace before the police dispersed them with tear gas. Since August 2019, Sudan has been ruled by a civil-military transitional government. This one is committed to restoring the country's economy in pieces after 30 years of mismanagement, internal conflicts and international sanctions under Omar el-Bashir. Ahead of the protests, authorities announced they had arrested 79 people suspected of having links to Bashir and planning violent crises. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok warned earlier this month about the potential for chaos and civil war by the former administration. Algeria's president has named Finance Minister Ayman Ben Abdelrahman as Prime Minister, asking him to form a new government as the country seeks to curb a deep socio-economic crisis. The presidency announced the 60-year-old's appointment to replace Abdelaziz Gerard, who resigned last week following a parliamentary election on June 12. Algeria has been under financial pressure because of lower oil and gas revenues, the main source of state finances. The North African nation of 45 million people has not yet managed to diversify the economy away from oil and gas, despite attempts to develop the non-energy sector. Elected in December 2019, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, who had previously expressed dissatisfaction with Gerrard and his cabinet, thanked him for leading the government during difficult conditions, particularly the coronavirus pandemic.
That's the end of the news for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us, and we do hope to see you again tomorrow when we return for the last edition of the week. Until then, stay blessed and goodbye.